Hello friend, I am Naren, your host. In this video, we're gonna talk about Terraform. It's an overview video where you can know about Terraform. So before we start, let's understand what is Terraform. Terraform is an open source infrastructure as code tool developed by HashiCorp Terraform. Terraform allows you to define and provision your cloud infrastructure using a simple declarative language called SCL. SCL stands for HashiCorp Configuration Language. Terraform is more like, instead of clicking around in the AWS, Azure or GCP console, you can write a configuration file that describes the resource you want, and Terraform will create them for you. Why Terraform? Why I should use the Terraform? This is a great question. A lot of beginners wonder why Terraform is worth learning when they can already create infrastructure manually in the cloud. Here are few key benefits that help you to understand why you should use Terraform. Terraform is a infrastructure as code, which is nothing but your infrastructure lives in configuration file, just like your application code. Easy to review, version control and rollback, meaning you can commit your infrastructure code into the Git repository, so it will very easy for you to review your code, version control them, and if something is not working, then you can roll back. Eliminate human error from manual clickings. When you are creating infrastructure directly on AWS, Azure or GCP console, there is a high possibility you make a mistake. Terraform as an infrastructure as a code, it will help you to eliminate human error since you will creating the infrastructure directly from code. Now, multi-cloud support. Multi-cloud. Terraform is a configuration tool which can support wide range of cloud or other provider. So it has like one tool, multiple provider like AWS, Azure, GCP, VMware, Kubernetes, GitHub, and even SaaS tool like Cloudflare. No need to learn different provisioning tool for each provider. So that is the key feature, that it will be once you write a code once and run into multiple cloud or multiple provider that support by Terraform support a wide range of provider. Consistency and repeatability. Now the same Terraform code can be used to deploy DAO environment, staging environment and production environments. Ensure everything matches across environment, so it is very consistent, and you can repeat your task on different, or you can repeat your infrastructure or create your infrastructure on different environments. Like for that environment you might need several infrastructure that you have to create on AWS, or staging environment you may need different infrastructure that you maybe need to create on different cloud, and same like a production as well. Team collaboration. Store Terraform code in Git. That means multiple engineers can work together. Use remote state to avoid conflicts. Now change preview. Terraform plans so exactly what will change before you apply. We will see about the Terraform workflow plan apply might be new for you right now, but we will later on the slide we will discuss about this. Safer and more predictable than running cloud command blindly. Cost and save cost and resource. Terraform is creating resource in no time and also destroy the resource when it's not needed. This is help us management to save their cost on the resource, and also we make sure as a DevOps you can also make sure that when the infrastructure is created and it's no more uses, you can destroy the created infrastructure. Extensibility is another cool key benefit. Terraform also support modules that allow you to build a reusable component like VPC module and EC2 modules. Use Terraform registry with pre-built module. Terraform has a lot of modules developed for you to use. Now let's talk about that is what, like, I feel like why you should use the Terraform. Terraform is providing much more handy features which can help you to deploy your infrastructure from 1 to 100 in no time. So now let's jump about how to install and set up the Terraform. Installing Terraform support pretty much all the operating system like Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, or any other Linux distribution. Now, installing the Terraform, you need to download the Terraform from the official Terraform website. So you can visit the developer hashicorp.com Terraform and then install. You can download the Terraform package based on your operating system. Macs you can download, just click here. Windows, in this video we specifically talk about the Windows, and in this machine I already downloaded the Windows AMD 64 Terraform, so I am not going to download it again. You can download it, and as I already downloaded it, so let's go to the C drive, and here is my Terraform. So I have a Terraform exe. After you download, it will download a zip file. You have to unzip it, and if you want a different location, then you can create a folder on your specific location and then copy license and terraform.exe. After you copy it, you have to set the path into the system path. Once the system path has been configured, you can open the console like this and run Terraform version. This will tell you if everything is successfully configured, then you will see a downloaded version of Terraform. In this, while I'm recording this video, I am using Terraform 1.12.2. This is my version. So the downloading is done, and we also set up the Terraform in this machine. Now let's back to our presentation to discuss further. Now let's understand, after you downloading the Terraform, let's understanding the Terraform workflow. Now in general, Terraform have 4 to 5 commands that you have to run, and that 4 to 5 command we will putting in the workflow. So first of all, we have a init. That means we have to initialize the project. This initialization is nothing but downloading the required provider that you have configured. Later in this video we will see the demo where we can discuss further about what exactly it will download and when you run the init command. Second is plan. Terraform plan command. So what Terraform will do before making change. For example, Terraform will create one EC2 instance. Terraform maybe create one S3 bucket or something like that. So plan is more like before you are actually creating the infrastructure, user can maybe review what exactly the Terraform is going to create on the cloud. Next, we have apply. Terraform apply is actually create the infrastructure. After the plan, you review your plan, it's time for you to create the actual infrastructure on the cloud. So apply command, Terraform apply command will help you to create the infrastructure. Of course, you will ask for the confirmation before execution, and also you can adding your confirmation in the command line if you are configuring or if you are running CI/CD. So asking the confirmation is not so handy, because when you are asking the confirmation, that means you have to wait for the user input. So in the CI/CD, we supposed not to wait for the user input. So the Terraform has an auto approved flag which you have to pass apart from along with your Terraform apply command. Second, the Terraform destroy. So Terraform destroy will help you to remove all the infrastructure you created. It's useful for cost saving in the cloud environment. Now let's do a demo where we are provisioning and deploy a static website on S3. So let's go back to our code. So I have a folder structure like this. I have created a folder called deploy static website on S3, and let's open the code editor here. Code dot is op will help code dot command will help us to open the folder in the current folder in the Visual Studio Code. Now we are writing a configuration that can help us to create an S3 bucket and deploy a static website on your cloud provider. In this demo, we are going to use AWS Cloud Provider, and I have a few infrastructure as a code already post commit in the info in the Git repository. You can go here if you want. You can copy the code that you want to run. If you don't want to do that, just follow along this video and we will create straight after. So we are creating a S3 static website. So let's say we have a main.tf file, output tf file, provider tf file, and variable. Let's copy the content of the provider tf file, and we're gonna create a file named providers.tf, and then paste the content. This content is we are using a Terraform block and it's a required provider, and we want to make sure that our provider is AWS and we are using HashiCorp AWS source, and version is this. For version, whatever greater than 5.0 should be here we are considering whatever version greater than 5.0 we will consume it, but this condition will make sure not less than 5.0, greater than will be okay. Let's save the file. Similar way, go to the github, and then we can create a main.tf. Of course we will discuss about all the code. Let's copy here and we will create a main.tf file, that is, let's say main.tf file, and paste the contain. Now here, if you look at this code, AWS, of course we will discuss in next video about resource and data, whatever the AWS HashiCorp language provide us. We will discuss in the next video. So in this code you can see we are using the resource is simply meanings like it will be create a resource and on the cloud provider. In this case we are using the AWS cloud provider. So we are going to create AWS S3 bucket. We just give a name for this code only. This name has nothing to do with your S3 bucket, and here we will provide the bucket name, and then we will say host destroyed if it is created, and of course we will create a tag for the better understanding. Now after you create the S3 bucket, we are make sure that the S3 bucket is public access is enabled. So we are here setting like a public access. You can provide the um, bucket ID you can get it from here. S3 after this S3 bucket is created, we will get the ID of the bucket, and then few other setting. By default we keep them all false, and then we have to set a read policy to our newly created bucket. So setting a read policy is more like giving a permission that we are getting objects from this S3 bucket. So this is the way we are setting policy in S3 bucket. So you can see here we have a bucket name, and this is the JSON code. You have to copy the same, exactly the same JSON code in order to adding the policies, and this will help us to set the read-only policies. And now after setting a policies, we have to configure our website. So when you are creating the website, you supposed to be have one index, but at least one index page and one error page. In the index page we are getting from the variables. So in the index document we specify the suffix of our page, and in the error document we are provide the error document more like a HTML documents. So this is all in the main.tf files. This is just a demo for you to understanding how the Terraform is working. Later on we will discuss each and every things about the Terraform code in my next video. So let's copy the variable files. We have the variable file. Let's say this is my variable file. Copy this variable file. Now let's create a variable.tf, variables.tf, and then paste the contain. This is how we can declare a variable in the Terraform. So declaring a variable in the Terraform is super easy. You can just using the variable keyword and provide a variable name, and here there is no default value. If you're not providing the default value, Terraform will ask you enter the default value. So let's set the default value here. We can say default is this, my first static website, and we have to make sure that our bucket name should be unique, otherwise it will throw the error. So I am making my bucket name unique. Probably this unique will, I mean, adding the few numbers after the bucket name will make it unique. I hope so it will. And then we have an index page. We have an index document where we have a default index page and the default error.html page, and that's it. And let's now move to the output folder. This is our last file that we need. Let's copy this one, and then we can create one more file, output.tf. Output is nothing but it will print the value on the console which you want to get it from the AWS cloud provider after the infrastructure provision. Now one thing is missing here, that where is this index.html and where is .error.html. We have to put this in our code. So let's check. We do not have here, but we do have a module test, since this repository creating the modules. So we have a static website here, and if you look at this, then we are creating the backend, but that's fine, we don't need to, but we just focus on the builds data. So we have the two pages here. Let's grab the page. It's a very simple page, so you can simply, let's say we can create a folder builds, and then we can create a file called index.html and then paste the code here. And the same way we have to copy the error code. This error, when you are doing something, navigating something different, then it will be throw an error. So let's say we have error.html, we create the error page. Now let's take a look. Now pretty much we have write our configuration file. When you are writing a configuration file, this is the common format. When you are using the Terraform, we have a main.tf file. I just give this file name main.tf, but it's not compulsory that you have to, but just let's follow the coding standard Terraform suggests us. So we will give the file main.tf, and we have output.tf, and similar way we have the provider.tf and variable is nothing but the providing the default value. Let's check every variables has a default value. If any variable not have a default value, it will ask you when you are running Terraform init command. So let's say now we have to run the Terraform init command. Terraform init, this will help us to downloading the AWS provider, which is that we are using in the provider we have defined. Before the provider, it will also initialize the backend. Since we do not configure the backend part we will discuss in my upcoming videos, but so this will take a little bit time when we are downloading the whole provider APIs. So this is the version 5.100.0, and it will be downloading in your local, it will create a folder in your local directory .terraform folder, and in this folder it will be downloading the AWS modules. You can see this exe. The downloading process is done. So let's say in the Terraform folder we have this, because I'm using the Windows, so it will be download the exe package for AWS provider. Now let's run the second command as we discussed in the PPT. Terraform plan. This will help us to review our configuration and create a plan that is going to be executed later using Terraform apply. And there is one more configuration is required after you install the Terraform setup. Make sure your AWS secret key and ID is configured in AWS CLI. So you can download the AWS CLI, something like AWS version. So this is, I already downloaded the AWS CLI. I am using AWS CLI 1.41 version, and you have to configure your secret code and the client ID in the AWS configuration. I have already configured it. So let's back our Terraform plan. So you can see when you are running Terraform plan command, you will see a piece of information that is suggested or that is expected is created when you are running the Terraform apply code. So you can see we have a resource name is website, and some values, the bucket name is the name that we have specified in the variable file, that is our bucket name, and some values will known after you run the apply command. So, and the force destroy is true, and then we have some other, like we have a tag name, this is the name of the bucket, and the website domain, some other information. So at the end of the command, at the end of the output, you can see we have plan 4 services to add, 0 to change, and 0 to destroy. Meaning, when you are running Terraform apply, you will create 4 services. Let's try to create Terraform apply. If everything is configured correctly, it will be creating a new S3 bucket and deploy our website. Now it asking a confirmation that you want to create Terraform, that you want to create the infrastructure on the AWS provider. Yes, I type yes, and then it will be start creating a website, and blah, we got our first error. This is good that we got the error. The specified bucket name is not valid, meaning the bucket name you have specified is not valid. So we must create a valid bucket. So let's change the name. Let's say instead of underscore we can create this should be a valid bucket, and then let's create this one as well, and then save. Now let's do the Terraform apply again. It will ask us to confirm, and then pressing say yes. Hope this time the name is correct. And then you can see AWS S3 bucket.website is in creating, and it has been created the bucket successfully. And also even it create the bucket, and also setting the public read policies, public access block, public access, and also website configuration has been created. It putting the index.html and arrow.html. At the end you can see apply completed, 4 resource has been added successfully. Now this is our bucket name, and this is our static website URL. If it is deployed successfully, you can copy this URL and open in the browser, and then you can make sure your HTML application is deployed successfully. We are getting error. Looks like it's not deployed successfully. Why? It should be, let's say first website S3 bucket US East. For some reason I cannot access this. Let's quickly check on the AWS whether it's created or not created. AWS Amazon, we can log into my account. I already logged in, so it will be, so we go to S3, and in the S3 bucket we can have a list of bucket, and this is our bucket name, and it did not upload the index.files, and let's figure it out why. So if you go back in our repository where we have, so in the main command we have few more things that need to be added, which we forget to add. So let's say we are going to upload this one, so you can copy this 3 code just copy this one and go to your main.file. Since we have already added here, now let's say we already specify here key value, add it here. This will build folder error, build error. We are pretty much uploading here. And now let's check the code again a bit. So we have this static module. Okay, that's fine. We are providing this variables on that module. That's because I created a test module and then we are testing that module. So that's fine. So now let's do one thing. Let's plan it again. Hope I save the file. So I saved the files and then let's say Terraform plan. Now let's see how many resources it's gonna be adding, and it's saying some error. Of course this will be the error because we are copying the code directly from the test module, which is not a good idea. So we should get the bucket name here. So let's say instead of this we can say I'm going to this, and then we have a website, and then the website we have a bucket, right? And the same name, same thing, we can get it here. We have this bucket. It's probably we created the bucket and this is a bucket name. So let's say it should be the ID of the bucket. Should be the ID of the bucket. Let's try the Terraform again. This time let's see what's it will be creating. Okay, it's not the ID is supposed to be the same bucket, so let's remove the ID. This is always be great when we are having a live demo, getting the error and we are fixing. Probably the similar types of error you will also encounter, and it's a great video when we are discussing the error related things. So now we are refreshing the state of previous. We already created a bucket, and so it has a previous stage. So we added the two things. That means we uploading index.html and the error.html page in our HT bucket. So it will saying you are adding two more resources. So let's say Terraform apply. Now in this way it will be uploading both the resource, and you will see it's refreshing the state again because we already apply the Terraform. So it's confirming yes, we type yes, and then it will be creating the error HTML. Now let's refresh the page. This is our page. Let's refresh the page, and if everything is working fine, it will be show your HTML content. In order to refresh here as well, we have two pages and it's still not accessible. So let's put index.html here, perhaps no endpoint. Wow, is supposed to be work here, but for some reason not working. Let's checking a look. Index.html. Open it. We have the hello world. This is very simple. HTML is supposed to be work here, but wait a second. We have to check our endpoint. There may be possibility that we have a different endpoint. Let's try. Okay, this time you can see it's working fine. We were using a wrong URL, so this is the correct URL. After you hitting the new Terraform apply, it will get this URL. So we are hitting this URL and you are getting your HTML content. Now let's check the error page. Let's say we have this kind of the URL, and then it will be oops, route does not exist. So this is this is how we can use the Terraform. So it's very easy for us to provision and deploy a static website on the AWS using the Terraform. Now let's perform a last workflow, that is Terraform destroy. Before we perform this, let's look at in our code. We have another file called df state. Whatever you created here, a Terraform create a state file. This is how the Terraform know what are the instance has been created. We will discuss more about the tf state file later in the later video. And we also have the lock, terraform.lock scl. This is for the locking the Terraform states when multiple users are committing. So now let's run the Terraform destroy command, which will destroy all the infrastructure that we have that have created by us. So you can see it will be refreshing the state all the time. When you are doing any action, it will do the refresh the state and then removing. So it will list it out what it is removing. You can check all the content and then say confirm yes, we want to destroy. And by clicking clicking by typing yes, all the 6 resources that has been created were removed successfully. Now let's go to the your cloud, your bucket, and we can see we have a bucket name, and then we can refresh. There is no content in the bucket, and let's refresh. So we have also removed the bucket. So that's all for this video, folks. Thank you for watching this video and hope you like my video. If you like, hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and I see you in my next video. Thank you very much and have a great day.